Hey, what's up? I'm Adam with Aerial Motion Photography, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about flying your Mavic Air 2 in high wind situations. DJI gives this drone a level 5 wind classification, which if you do a conversion from meters per second to miles per hour, that comes out to about 23 miles per hour. A week ago, we had some big wind and some big swell here in Southern California, and it was gusting over 40 miles per hour. I put up my Mavic Air 2 to get some filming of a kite surfer and also just to see how this drone flew in high wind situations. And in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys how the drone flew, was the gimbal affected by the winds, and then also as a bonus, comparing the Mavic Air 2 flying characteristics and wind to the rest of the Mavic lineup. So if that sounds interesting, let's get into it. Starting out, I put it into cinema mode just to make sure that the movements were more relaxed and that the drone would fly extra stable. I pointed the drone straight into the wind, and you can really see how windy it is by how the sand's just blowing that hard. I had the drone into 60 frames per second because I thought it'd be cool to put in slow motion and to see the sand blowing. Once I started going, I flipped it into normal mode, and I'm just flying and I'm keeping the altitude low. Then I switched it into sports mode because the drone was really struggling to fly straight into the wind. It was flying at about 6 miles an hour straight into the wind in normal mode. Flying into the wind, moving the drone around a little bit. And in sports mode, the top speed that I got to was 19.1 miles per hour, and this was at 22 feet of altitude. Once I brought it up to about 70 feet, the maximum speed that I got to was 16.3, and this is with the stick hammering down full speed. This drone has flown as fast as 42 miles per hour, so it was pretty crazy to think I'm going full speed and it's not even going half the speed that it normally can. Now I turned it towards the ocean and I wanted to fly it more downwind to kind of see what kind of speed I could get, and it got up to 43 miles per hour. So I turn around just trying to fly it over the sand, and this is when I noticed the gimbal is really starting to shake, and it's just starts out just with a little bit of vibration, and you can see how the angle is just changing, and this is doing it all on its own. And what it's saying is gimbal overload. It's just going up and down, bucking like a bronco. This is when I decide, okay, I just need to bring it home and see what the problem is. So I bring it back down, and then I just have the drone hovering, and I decide to film it with my phone. So I have my phone still hooked up to the controller, and I just wanted to film the drone hovering to see if I could get the gimbal shaking on video camera. And as it's flying, you can see just the angle and how aggressive the drone has to be just to stay in place. So at some points, it almost looks like it's at almost a 45-degree angle, and it's just struggling to stay in place. And the drone's doing a great job. It's doing this all on its own. So I'm impressed, especially with these 40-mile-an-hour gusts. It's a lot of wind for this drone to handle. Okay, this is the part of the video where I wanted to roll the footage so we can look at it to see how the camera was acting in that kind of wind. But unfortunately, when I went to upload it, it said that the files have been corrupted. And I downloaded 2 softwares that say they can recover deleted and corrupted files. Both of the softwares did not work. Luckily, they give you your money back if it doesn't work, but I'm still really bummed and disappointed that I don't have that footage. I can still give you guys a real world review because I could see the footage through my phone when hooked up to the controller. And flying it, I was able to keep up with the kiteboarders. I was able to make these huge banking turns, and I didn't have any issues with the gimbal. And the footage looked very, very stable, so I'm impressed with that. Now the bonus part of the video where I was going to compare the Mavic Air 2 to the other Mavics in the DJI lineup. The first one I want to compare it to is the original Mavic Air. And I just have the controller here. I couldn't find it. on the side of the bag, there was just the controller and the battery, so I need to look for it. But this is just symbolism. And comparing these two, I was kind of surprised that both of them have a similar wind rating. I thought because the Mavic Air 2 just blows away spec-wise almost every drone in the DJI lineup, especially the original Mavic Air, that it would have some kind of crazy wind numbers, but they were similar. And flying these both, if you've ever flown a Mavic Air, you'll know there's nothing really fast about it and the camera's not very stable, but it does handle its own when in wind. So that's one good thing about it. But the gimbal is way, way, way more stable. That was so many ways, but the gimbal is way more stable. And yeah, I think that we should move on to the next one. So now let's compare it to the Mini 2. Just use your imagination that this is the Mini 2. If you were wondering why I just have the controller, click on this video up here. It's where my Mini 2 lost connection, ran out of battery, and crashed in the ocean. It's a long story, but I still have not gotten a new one. And I decided to actually get a second Mavic Air 2 instead of the Mini 2 for the time being. But let's go on to how the performance is with the wind. So another surprising similarity is both of them have a similar wind rating. I've always been really impressed with the Mini 2 with the stronger motors and the better propellers and just everything like that. It does really well. Especially, it does it really well compared to the original Mini. If you want to see a video about my original Mini that flew away, you can click up here. But let's get to how these two compare. Basically, both of them do very well. The Mavic Air 2, if you've ever flown both these, and if you want to put down in the comments which one you like to fly better in the wind, I think all day, any day, people are going to choose the Mavic Air 2. But there's people that really love these Mini 2s, and yeah, so different strokes for different folks, or like different props for different tops.
Stop it. Get some help.
Now let's compare it to the OG, the Mac Daddy, the Mavic 2. So this thing's a tank. This thing flies so solid. You can see though, it is a lot bigger and it's a lot more heavier. And surprisingly, again, they have very similar wind ratings. I've flown this thing in more than 40 miles an hour and I've never felt like it's going to be blown away. I've never seen it just go crazy, and I've also never seen the gimbal go crazy either. But not to take anything away from the Mavic Air 2 and how it flew, just if it was really, really windy, I would choose the Mavic 2. And that's just because it's bigger. I think it weighs more. I think that's science.
It's science.
Like an object in motion stays in motion, and like forces. And so just something bigger, stronger, that's still powerful will always do better in the wind. And that's going to wrap up this video talking about the Mavic Air 2 in windy conditions. If you found it entertaining or educational, give it a big thumbs up. That means a lot to me. Subscribe down below if you want to see more videos like these, and then check those notifications so you'll be notified when I upload my newest videos. As always, my name's Adam. Fly safe and take care. Peace.